what's the first thing that comes to mind when I see these names? Virat Kohli.
Ooh.
Hi everyone, welcome to Outside Edge. The first day's play from the third test match in Ahmedabad is now underway. This is the place to be. We're going to hear from Kevin Peterson, from Stephen Harmison, and also from Ben Stokes on the Indian side today. So don't forget to like and to subscribe.
It really could be this partnership for the game.
Big appeal for leg before wicket. It might be a bit high. Up goes the finger. Akash Chopra's got Ben Stokes for the moment, I fancy.
Yeah, this is horrible for England. Horrible, horrible, it's a nightmare.
And as so ever, when Ben Stokes goes, it's kind of a sign for England, Steve. Some of the batting today was, well, it was poor technically, but it seemed to lack application.
Yeah, I think application is the right word. I think the pressure that they have now with the crowd being there is something that some of these players haven't had. And I think the techniques were huge. We got 7 out of 10 dismissals bowled. 3 players bowled at LBW. 3 players, only 3 players in the whole side faced more than 30 balls. And I think one thing you'll talk about, and especially to someone like Kevin, is you have to earn the right how to bat in India, in the subcontinent. And that is by facing balls, getting bowlers to where, fielders to where you want them. And England didn't have that today. Didn't have that at all.
England lost 8 for 38, Steve. In 27 overs, 8 for 38.
It's crazy.
Even by English cricket standards, not so much the modern side, but general English cricket standards, that's a shocking collapse, isn't it? And yet we thought after the first test we were getting a handle on the spin.
We did, but I think what it shows is how much we rely on our captain. Our captain is huge. England's captain is huge. I think the way of Joe Root has batted in Sri Lanka, in Galle, then he batted in Chennai. There's people bounced in and bounced out around him. But I think if Joe Root scores runs in India, England predominantly get a decent score. If Joe Root doesn't get very many, then England seem to fall like a pack of cards, a bit like what happened today.
Did they do enough with the ball to suggest they can get back into the game?
There were signs there. I actually think you have to sort of look at both sides individually, because if you look at it in the collective, yes, England are behind the 8 ball. But I think if you look at the way England bowled and performed, if you take that in isolation, I actually think England have bowled all right. They bowled not too bad. I thought the seamers bowled well. If you're anything an element short, but not something that I'll be worried about, I thought Anderson moved the ball until the dinner break. And after the dinner break, there wasn't much happening with the ball, much swing happening. I thought England stuck in there. I thought they stuck to their task. The ball, good lines, good lengths. Jack Leach got the odd one to spin. So if you look at England bowling in isolation, I actually think they could be pretty happy with themselves in an all-round package. Well, then that's a different story.
Okay, well, there's a couple of other things worth mentioning. England didn't have the sort of 50-50 margins go their way at any stage throughout the day. That happens, and nearly always happens when you've played badly. England batted badly, they pay the price later in the game for the 50-50s not going their way. They did have the bonus of getting Kohli before the close of play. That will lift the dressing room and set them up with the opportunity of better cricket tomorrow. Now we turn to India and our inquest into India's day, a whole lot better than England's, we can safely say, and part of it involves Ben Stokes. I suppose we can analyse it any which way, but it was all about the 2 spinners, wasn't it? And you would put Ashwin as one of the best ever. You're beginning to see in Akash Patel the perfect substitute for Ravi Jadeja. And in a way, he's probably more consistent than Jadeja.
Yeah, I think his trajectory bowls a little bit flatter, and I actually think he bowls closer, more stump to stump than Jadeja. So the one that turns and rags, like we've seen, that's not the danger ball. It's the one, his stock ball is the one that goes on. So there was a lot of worry, I think, in India fans, before the series started, that how's Ashwin going to be without Jadeja? All about Jadeja's runs at number 7 or potentially number 8. All about Jadeja, but actually in Akash Patel, they might have just unearthed a little gem there from what has been a decent career so far in the IPL. But first class wise, you wouldn't say he was somebody that took loads of wickets in the Ranji Trophy.
He took 6 for 38 today. The other problem, of course, that England faces an unbeaten Rohit Sharma.
he's a class above. He is a really, really class player, somebody who his movements are so simple, front and back foot, goes forward to hit it, comes back to hit it. He's sometimes, when you look at him, you think, is he interested? Is he going through the motions? But, you know, today, when it got its toughest, he knuckled down. Jimmy Anderson bowled a beautiful spell to him just before lunch, before the dinner break. And then all of a sudden, like I said before about the England pattern, you earn the right to score runs in the subcontinent. And more often than not, if he's in beyond 30, 40 balls, this guy scores runs quickly.
All right, so us experts can talk about India all day and all night. What you don't often hear is a member of the opposition talking about the opposition. Well, Ben Stokes did, to my man here, a couple of lads from the northeast of England on the same subject.
What's the first thing that comes to mind when I say these names? Virat Kohli.
Cover drive.
Jasprit Bumrah.
Yorker.
Pujara.
Block.
Rishi Pant.
Smack.
Rohit Sharma.
Talon.
Jack Leach.
The nut.
Okay, well, it's a happy segue because our moment of the day came right at the end of the day's play. And yep, it's Virat's wicket.
Here is Leach again, bowled him off the bottom edge, looking to cut it down to third man. Virat Kohli cannot believe what he's done. He smashes his bat onto his helmet. He's got a bottom edge and chopped it onto his off stump.
Oh, I cannot tell you how big a moment that is, and I can't tell you what effect it has on a dressing room. You really are in danger of going in at the close there thinking the game's gone. Getting Kohli out not only keeps you alive in the game, but lifts your spirit because you've got rid of a master of the conditions and you've proved you're good enough to get rid of a master of the conditions. So it's absolutely massive for England and gives them real hope for the morning. Having said that, nobody was perfect today. We've touched on the England batting earlier in the piece. Let's hear what Akash Chopra, our man in India, has to say on the matter.
Dependence on Root as well, that if Root gets going, of course, things will start looking a lot easier. That hasn't been the case. The previous test match was a tough one. And I think the essence of international cricket is to just forget about what happened earlier as a batsman, as a bowler, what happened in the previous ball. More so in this case where you're going to a new venue, a different coloured ball. You've got to back yourself after winning the toss. And I'm slightly disappointed, to be honest, because I expected a bit more resolve from the English batsmen.
I like Akash very much. Good guy, knows the game, got a lot of energy for the game, and I think he's given us a completely different angle on things. So he's been a good signing here at talkSPORT Towers. Hope you enjoyed him too. I hope you're enjoying Kevin Peterson, who's working with us for this test. He's always got something to say, and of course in his glory days as an England cricketer, he was something of a hero to the lads that are the heroes themselves now.
And there's about 4 batsmen in that lineup who start with their bat wide outside off stump and come across spin when it's spinning away from them. Are these things that they can fix going forward? And they would have known of these problems coming into this series as well.
I mean, I think they've only got one innings that they need to fix it in, right? And have they got enough time to do that? I don't know.
Because they would have been working on this.
Of course they would have, and I know they have been working on it. I spoke to Root a couple of weeks ago about stuff that we did together in 2012 before that successful tour where we beat India in India. And I reminded him of a couple of the drills that we were doing, that I used to do day in, day out when being in the subcontinent. And I believe that they are doing it. So I believe that they are putting in the work and they are putting in the practice. But I can only relate it back to when I played, that on occasions, in Ahmedabad, for instance, I walked out to bat on Ahmedabad and I was practicing perfectly leading into that test match. And for some strange reason, I got knocked over from a left arm spinner, bang, bang. Namanoja knocked me over, finished, good night. And then I got out in the second innings. I thought to myself, how on earth can you get out playing the way you've just played when you've been playing so well in the nets? And so as soon as I got out in that second innings, I walked into the dressing room, I took my test shirt off, I put a practice shirt on, I took 2 coaches out into the back nets, and I went and hit balls for an hour and a half to make myself understand and feel that actually I do have it. Give myself that confidence again. But that didn't help me in that particular test match. But it helped me in my next innings because I went on to get 180 in Mumbai in the next test match. So I sort of proved to myself. So have they got enough time? Yes, of course they got enough time Tomorrow morning, it's a day-night test match. Go and bat in the nets.
Yeah, Harmy's still with me. He talks a lot about Joe. I mean, I think that all of those guys of that era looked up to KP, marvelled at him, really.
It did. I remember doing the same conversation I had with Ben Stokes, I had with Joe Root before the first test match, and asked Joe about his debut, and he said he couldn't believe he had bunked off school to watch the 2005 Ashes, seen KP get that 100 at the Oval, and then he makes his debut walking out on, I think, Nagpur, and KP's there, 50-odd not out, and he's like, I can't believe I'm standing in front of Kevin Peterson. And what he talked about in that little piece was about just different scenarios of picking your bat up and hitting the ball. He talked about him and Johnny Bairstow in that time during the 2012 series when England won, and that knowledge would have been so valuable for Bairstow and for Root. And you know, there's been a lot of stories talked about Kevin Peterson, but when he talks about batting, he's an absolute genius.
I invented a game actually that had a 7-wicket innings, and after only number 9 could bat, 10 and 11 didn't bat, because who cares?
What do you mean who cares? Of course they care, that's the best part. That's the best part. No.
The biggest wicket of the day, you've got it, Mark.
watching tail enders bat is part of the entertainment. It's absolutely brilliant when you watch a proper bunny rabbit like Steve Armisen walk to the wicket and try and play a few shots.
It was the smallest fly, Goffey, and my God.
He's a crack at the golf, isn't he?
Oh, got him perfect. You brought him straight out of the Thames. Straight out of the Thames, Mark. Perfect.
Okay, we're done for the day. England in trouble, but not out of the game. Fingers crossed for a memorable fight back tomorrow. My thanks to Steve Harmison and to all of the rest of our guests. Don't forget to like and subscribe, because this has been Outside Edge. Bye-bye.